Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you're all fine and doing good. So today, students, I have come up with a new chapter, and that is the poem. Okay, so here in the video, today's video, we are going to recite the poem by the name Shed. The Shed, and it's written by Frank Flynn. Fine? So we are going to learn about the shed. So first of all, before proceeding, I would like to ask you, what is shed? What do you mean by shed? Do you know what is shed? Shed is a house. Okay, it is a kind of house which is no longer used. Fine? Or in other words, you can say a shed is the shelter for the cattle. The cattle are kept in a shed, and in Old English it can be said that the house which is no longer used is also called the shed. Fine? Okay, so here in this video we are going to learn about poem The Shed. So before proceeding, first of all I would like to ask you some questions regarding the topic. Fine? Okay. So first of all, can you tell me, have you ever seen a shed? Have you ever seen a shed? Okay. You must have seen, and many of you have not seen with your naked eyes. Okay. You must have seen in the horror movies or in the internet. Fine. So if you have not watched any horror movie, or if you have not seen any shed, then I request you to go and have a look of it, and then it will be very easy for you, it will be very interesting for you to learn the poem. Clear? Okay. So those who have watched, seen the shed with your naked eyes, I would like to ask you some more questions. The next question is that, how do you feel the shed, or what is your opinion about shed? What do you think, what it must be? How does it look? How does it appears to be? So how does it appear to be? It appears to be quite old and quite dirty. Okay, it appears to be quite old. It looks a very old-fashioned house, and in fact it looks somewhat scary. Okay, in comparison to the modern houses. Okay, modern houses are much better than the shed. The shed, it looks quite scary in the midnight. Okay, when there is no light in the environment, in the atmosphere. Fine? Okay. So now let us begin with the topic, the shed. Fine? Okay. Okay, so now let us recite the poem. Now see here. There's a shed at the bottom of our garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. Okay, here the poet tries to explain that what he had seen when he was very young, when he was just a kid. Okay, what was his feelings, what happened with him when he was very young, when he was just a small kid. Okay, so he explains that, he goes on telling that there's a shed at the bottom of a garden, okay, with a spider's web hanging across the door. Okay, so the poet says that there was a shed, and where was the shed lying? It was lying at the bottom of his garden. Okay, with the spider's web hanging across the door, and there was a spider's web hanging across the door. Okay, can you see the door? So where is the door? This is the door. Okay, and where's the spider's web? The spider's web is hanging across the door. Clear? Okay. Okay. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. Now, what are hinges? Okay, what are hinges? Hinges is the mechanism which makes something open and close. Fine, this is called the hinges. So with the help of these hinges, the door could be opened and closed. So here the poet is trying to tell that the hinges are rusty. It is already rusty. Rusty means junk laka hua, okay, which is not polished. Okay, and here the hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. Creak means to make a kind of noise, a kind of sound which is very unpleasant to the ear. So here in this poem, the door, it opens and closes with the wind. It opens and closes with the wind. So when the wind make the movement of the door to open and close, the hinges being rusty makes a creaking sound. Clear to everyone? Okay. So here the poet even tries to tell that there's hardly anybody going inside the shed. Okay, there's hardly anybody who goes inside the shed, and this is the reason why the hinges has gone rusty. Okay, rusty means junk laka hua. Clear to everyone? Okay. Next, when I'm in bed, I lie and I listen. I'll open the door one day. Okay, here the poet is saying that when I'm in bed, I lie and I listen. Fine. At night, when I lie in my bed, I could listen the noise of the creak. Okay, the noise of the door. Clear? So what did the poet decide? He decided that he would go to the shed and open the door one day. Okay, so here it means that the poet is lying peacefully in the bed. Okay, but sometimes he hears noise from the shed. So this is the reason why the poet wishes to be able to open the door of the shed someday. Is it clear with first stanza? Okay, so now let's come to the second stanza. Okay, the second stanza. Yes, there's a dusty old window. Okay, there's a dusty old window at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. Okay, here the poet says that there's a dusty old window. Okay, the shed has a dusty old window on its side. Okay, dusty means the windows or the thing which is not wiped, which is not cleaned. Okay, full of dust. Fine. So there in the shed, there's a dusty old window at the sides. Okay, with 3 cracked panes of glass. So let me show you. Okay, now see here. These are the panes of glass. Okay, which is cracked. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that means 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 cracked panes of glass. Now cracked. Cracked means broken. Tutawa. Okay, broken. And panes. Panes is the glass. Okay, and the frame which holds the glass. Okay, so see here, there is no glass at all here in this pane. Okay, and even in this pane, there is no glass at all. And here it is a cracked glass. Okay, let me show you once again. Yes, see. Can you see all of you? See, this pane's window is cracked even here. Okay, so what is the poet trying to tell? The poet tries to say that the shed has a dusty old window on its side. So 3 glass panes of the windows are broken. Clear? Okay. I often think there's someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. Okay, so here the poet tries to say that, however, the poet passes through the shed, he gets the feeling as if someone was staring at him. Okay, staring means to have a look. Okay, to have a look or to see. So the poet tries to say that whenever the poet passes through the shed, he feels that someone looks at him, that someone is there who is staring at the poet. Fine? Now, to find out, the poet wishes to peep inside the shed. So the poet says that each time I pass, I feel that there's someone who's staring at me. So in order to find out that who is staring at me, I'll peep through that window one day. Okay, the windows have cracked panes, yes or no? So the poet thought that I would go and I would have a peep. Peep means to have a quick look. फट से देख के हट जाना. That is called peep, मतलब झांकना. Fine? So the poet says that I'll peep through that window one day. Clear to everyone? Okay. Okay, so have you understood second stanza? Okay, so now let's see third stanza. Okay, now see what is it written in the third stanza. What is the poet trying to tell? Okay, so here in the third stanza, we read, my brother says there's a ghost in the shed. So, in the third stanza, the poet's brother tries to tell the poet that there's a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. Okay, so here the poet's brother warns him that he should not go near the shed because he says that there's a ghost in the shed. Okay, I hope you all know what is a ghost. This is a ghost. Okay, so what does he say? He says that there's a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. Okay, so what is rotten floorboards? First of all, let me tell you, rotten means the one which is already rotten. What to tell you means it is overripe and which has become decomposed. Okay, which can no longer be used. That means sada hua. Okay, rotten. So rotten means sada hua. And floorboards. Floorboards is the main part of the house which is under the floor. Okay, floor, I hope you all know what is floor. Okay, the main part of the floor but under the floor, that is called floorboards. Okay, one is ceiling, like suppose let me draw, this is the house. Okay, and this is the roof and the ceiling. Okay, and then this part, okay, this is called floor. We all know that this is called floor, but floorboard is the under part of the floor, that is called floorboard. So what does the poet's brother try to say? He tries to say that there's a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. Okay, that means here he tries to hide. Now tell me, why is this floorboard rotten? Why is it rotten? It is rotten because this shed is no longer used by anybody. Since it is no longer used by anybody, all the doors and windows have all gone decomposed. Okay, it has all become decomposed. So this is the reason why nobody used the shed. And since nobody used the shed, there is no cleaning. Everything is very dusty and dirty. Fine. So this is the reason why the author's brother tries to tell that there is a ghost living inside the shed. Clear to everyone? Okay. Now, next line of the same stanza. Now see. And if I ever dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. Okay. So what does he try to say? The poet tried to say that my brother wants me not to go inside the shed since there is a ghost inside it. And if the poet ever dare to set foot inside, if the poet ever dare means himmat karna. Okay. So if the poet ever dare to set foot inside means पैर रखना. ठीक है, अंदर पैर रखना. अगर उसने कभी भी हिम्मत करी अंदर पैर अंदर रखने की, तब क्या होगा? The ghost, he would jump out and chop off the poet's head. Okay, the brother says that if you ever dare to set your foot inside the shed, then the ghost would come out and he would chop off your head. Now here chop means to cut into pieces. Fine. So he says that do not dare to go inside the hut, inside the shed, otherwise the ghost who is living in that shed would come out from the rotten floorboard and chop off your head. But what did the author say? He decided that I'll take a peek one day. So what did he decide? However, he decided that I am going to take a peek. Okay, peek means to have a look. Fine. So he thought that now definitely I should go and I should have a look that who is there inside the shed. Okay, he wished to go inside the shed and see for himself for sure. He wants to be sure that who is really residing inside the shed, who is hiding inside the shed, and who is the one who always stares at me each day I pass the shed. Clear to everyone? Okay. Okay. Now I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. And the spider has been gone from his web. Since I don't know when, I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. Okay, here the poet tried to tell that how did he overcome his fear. Okay, that he has really overcome his fear. Now the poet is able to overcome his fear. Okay, he has already overcome his fear. That means he is no longer scared of the ghost. So he tries to say that I know that there isn't really any ghost. That means कि वहाँ सच में कोई ghost नहीं है. Fine. My brother tells lies to keep up the shed for his den. Okay, so later on he came to know that his brother was just cooking up stories in order to scare the poet and to use the den, that shed for his den, for his own purpose. Fine. Here the poet came to know that there isn't any ghost and his brother was telling lies. Why was his brother telling lies? His brother was telling lies so that he could use the shed for his own purpose. Clear? And he also understood that there's no one staring or making strange noises. There isn't anyone. Okay, there isn't anyone staring or making strange noises. He understands that there is actually nobody inside the shed who stares at him or make those strange noises. Fine. He even came to know that the spider has been gone from his web. He even came to know that there is no more spider. Even spider is no more there. The spider has also gone from there. Okay. So, and he says that since I don't know when, he said, when has it gone? Even me, I am unaware of it. Even the poet is unaware of it, that when has the spider gone away from that shed. Clear? So, the poet says that I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. So, the poet decided that very soon he would be able to set his foot inside the shed. However, he says that this cannot happen immediately. That means not right now. I may go into that shed one day soon. That means someday I may set the foot inside the shed, because he has really understood that there is no ghost inside the shed, but my brother is cooking up some stories in order to use the shed for his den. So nobody would go inside the shed. If I cook up the stories of ghosts and tell my brother, he would definitely be scared and not set his foot inside the shed. So I can use that shed for myself. So this was the reason why he was cooking up the stories that there's a ghost inside the shed who would chop off his head. Okay, with this axe he would chop the head of the poet if he go inside the shed. Clear? But later on he came to know that there is no such thing, that there is no ghost, and see, now even the spider has also gone. So that means there is no one, it is only the wind which makes creaky noise. Okay, so he said that one day I'll definitely go inside that shed and discover that what's going on inside the shed. But that day will come soon and not just yet. That means not very immediately, not now. Fine? So, have you understood? Have you understood everything? Did you like the poem? How was the poem? I hope you liked it. Yes or no? Okay. So, students, in the Zoom class, I will ask you about this poem. Okay, that how do you like the poem? Fine? And I'll ask you many more questions regarding the shed. I may ask you even from the poem, I may ask you as a general question. Okay, so just be prepared with the poem. Okay, I will ask you anything from in middle of the poem, and I would also ask you something related to the ghost and related to the shed and everything. Okay, so be prepared, and thank you everyone for watching and listening. Bye bye everyone.